Okay, for this segment of my protest with the Southern District of New York, right here is showing this Thurgood Marshall at 40 Pearl Street, and their disgusting staff of clerks that are all engaging in the same kind of slavery and entrapment and captive trapping and human trafficking. This is what this is. And what I'll do is I'll read it. This is the court where I went to. Where they had my discrimination case against Southern Wine and Spirits. That was a joke. They were pretty much purchased. They purchased all the attorneys, and they smear campaigned me, and they had it all set up using U.S. immigration to control it, to destroy me, because that's how they operate. Because they can't. They have to have it their way, because that's how the operation of the disgusting billionaire club that is destroying our world as we speak, as it comes in and evolves to being this sick operation of human trafficking, slavery. This is the essence of what this is. And what I'll do is I'll just read this. I want to just, my arm is still killing me from earlier, and I'm going to just read this and be done with this day, because it's Halloween. It's time for trick-or-treats, and I still honor my joy. I'm not letting my joy be taken from them, even a little bit that I have, that I can peek into and get into, because I was really supposed to be in Mexico this weekend, but that had to be altered because of the shady control that they have on my credit cards. And it's a sick coercion control that's done behind my back. It's illegal, and it's got to stop. What they're doing with Diddy is they're going to steal his money. They're going to take all his billions. They did this since the 90s. I was a part of it. I witnessed it. I was his rep at Justin's, and I know in the liquor business how they operate. They operate very shady. They are beyond non-compliance of the operations of stealing, of totally making billions for these huge bars, and I'd have to be a whole other story, a whole other day of like telling the truth on what happened there, and giving all the details. So I'm getting it all out. I'm going to be the Orlando Bloom of this. I am going to show how this showcase of this fraudulent, this corrupted courtroom of slavery that this serves nothing but for Satan, nothing but for human trafficking is what this is all about. This is what this is about, and I'm going to do this every day because it's my freedom, it's my right to do this. And I'm going to tell you, here I have this one, the original one I have. I said stop slavery. It says human trafficking by the federal courts and the feds. They're all a con. It has to be stopped. They scapegoat USA. This is the united scapegoat of the United States. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to be their sin, their crime, their sick operation of human trafficking. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm letting go of the chains of those shackles they have me under, because they are evil. It's an evil operation here. They steal the money. It's all about money, right? It's all about the millions, the 10 million that they stole from me, and counting, and more, and left me as a straw man, because that's how they lead people. That's how they build them to destroy them. They've been following Puff Daddy for decades. They should have stopped him in his tracks in the 90s, but they didn't, because they knew that he was going to be worth billions, and he's going to keep operating this way. So they let him. They know the drug dealers. They know the sex offenders. They know the rapists. They know the murderers. They are part of it. The informants are part of it. Their operation is so not what you think. They are able to legally commit the crime because they're lawless. You know, they get immune from doing all things that are illegal and paying the consequences for it. They get totally immunity. That's the feds. That's all the Fed agencies, the FBI, the DEA, all of them. And you'll be surprised how many more informants there are in this, and all the other agencies. Social Security has informants. All of them do. They all have informants. The U.S. Immigration Services, they all have these. They're all coons. What they are. They're just like all sellouts, and they fall under not following the law themselves. They don't follow the law. It's a sick operation of stealing money from people and getting away with it. And they do it, and no one cares. The law doesn't make any sense anymore. There's nothing. There's no There's no defending yourself. You don't. Well, I'm living proof that they voided me from due process. I had a very evil judge that was the most damaging with me. She went out of her way to be a sadistical judge that is corrupted, and because she's a master at it. She's been a judge that's been corrupted for 4 decades. She's stolen from all people of color and all their millions. When we step up and we own our property, we own our pension and our 401k, it comes right from under them. They see who's there. They take the vulnerable. They take the people of color, the people that are by themselves, like I was in my home, that was in no mortgage. And she went behind my back and did everything maliciously. She turned me into, I have to guess all these things because it's the only thing that can possibly do it to me, that I don't have access to getting my record. I don't have access to getting none of my divorce papers and this discrimination case. I mean, I am blocked. They illegally forged the signatures to do so. They put guardians against me, on me. I have to guess this. I don't even know, but that's what it sure felt like. But they didn't tell me. None of it was told to me. I never agreed to any of that because it's not legal, and it's obviously I don't need one. And they did this to smear me, to gaslight me. That's how they operate. They're doing it to Mayor Adams. They did it to Bill Cosby. They did it to all these people of color, because that's how they operate. They like to smear campaign the hell out of them, so they can have the joy and statistical enjoyment and pleasure to bury a person of color, because that's what this is. They look at the operation, and Diddy is the most smeared of all. I mean, there's something bigger behind it. He's no saint. He is a monster, but he was developed by the Jews and by the fucking, the Clive Davis and the monsters and Universal and all his grooming that took place on him. They should be up there too. It's all being put on him as a scapegoat, just like I was to my family, just like I was to Southern Wine and Spirits, just like I was to the U.S. Immigration Services that are serviceless, that I've been warning the country about, been warning them, saying that they are evil. They are an evil environment. They're an evil operation, and they look at how they plan my firing on me. They illegally used my HIV, which, by the way, that Philadelphia movie was a lie. It's a lie too, because that would never happen. Hollywood lied to us, put on a picture that said it was a true story when it wasn't, and to this date, 40 years later, that still wouldn't happen. None of that would happen, because it is impossible. Because discrimination still exists. That disease that was given to me by Callan Lord, and they are not even investigating or even apologizing to it, and yet still trying to make me feel like I did something wrong, and still smeared me. I have all the evidence I need, all of it, and I will show forth. I will keep putting on this show and then giving you the real show of what happened in every single case scenario. From when I moved here 30 years ago, I'm going way back. I'm starting with Callan Lord. I'm going to give it to you for everything that they did to me. The loyalty that I had with them, and then the betrayal that they had with me. They fudged my record. They put me out to be this monster that I'm not. They had their own nurse sexually assault me in 2003, and I was diagnosed with HIV in 2004, and there you have it. That's how it was given to me. A nurse had sexually assaulted me at the clinic several times, and he had a beer can dick. That's right, he had a dick like this, and he ripped my asshole inside, and I reported it, and they made me feel like I did something wrong. And of course, I didn't know any better. I was shameful and I didn't know what to think, but now I know the truth. I know how this whole thing came about. I know how Jorge was a pawn. He's a sellout. He's a psychopath that will do anything. They took him from the ghetto of Colombia to smear me, to destroy me, to steal everything from me. And with the help of law enforcement, officers of law, I was this one person that for 20 years now, that has been subject to an army of officers of law. I mean, I had to confront all this horrible setups and coffee traps, and even with my own family, all these like behind my back, because that's how they operate. They can't do it into my face, so they do it behind my back. And Southern Wine and Spirits was involved in it too. Patricia, my best friend, George Maestro, that fake. And by the way, Orlando Medina and his wife, Emma, and Patricia, for all the guys that worked in the Latin industry over out in Washington Heights and Queens and Bronx and Brooklyn that had those people as their reps. I'm telling you, I worked with them. They had all my accounts. You know, they were, I believe, and I have good reason to believe that they were just like the setup of Desiree Perez that no one knew about, that was an informant, and she was a fucking second in command to Gizela Blanco. She is a illegal drug lord from Cuba, Desiree Perez, and her truth is my mouth, and I am going to let all of that out. You guys are gonna find out about her, and I'm gonna actually put my word in my theory that I believe that Orlando was one too, and he was feeding information of all the accounts in the entire city with Patricia, the wine rep, and other ones. I'm sure. I think Rabia was one. I think that others were so many, and the protection that they did on Orlando, who had me tokened as the Maricon for 12 years of that was my nickname, the Maricon of that company. But I made my $300,000 a year, and I rubbed it off. I didn't think of it that was so severe, but he was damaging me in front of the owners of the clubs and managers and making me look really bad. And I finally had to say something because one of the managers told me to, and I finally did. And he got this protection like no other. I mean, they spent millions on protecting him and getting him off the record of doing that to me, and even taking off the $500,000 I was supposed to get on that lawsuit from that abuse. And it was all set up. They protected him. So that gives it away. They didn't protect anything else that I put down because I had 5 other fucking probable cause charges that came out through the decision that they were guilty. They were all guilty, and I had all the evidence against them. I proved them wrong. I made them look like fucking idiots. And I put that out there too. And I'm gonna keep putting that out there. I'm putting more details of how they did it. And you know, I know that my house was broken into, was totally raided, and they stole all my evidence, the evidence I had on everything. But I have about 50% of it copied, and I have a memory, so I will be the voice of all those memories, and I'm gonna keep bringing on. I'm gonna live the truth. I'm gonna go back and redo the show that they played and planted on me, and left me out to dry, left me out to be this crazy one, right? That's how that the end game is for the good guy, for the one they want to destroy, for the one that had this charm and that was able to relate to all the connections, all the relationships in these bars, and it goes to different levels with 200 accounts that I had maintaining, and a $5 million business that was consistent and growing, and that started off at a $75,000 route that I built to $5 million, and I was in the top 10 reps. And the story is so disgusting how they did me wrong, how they set me up, plotted so many traps, making it impossible, and using my HIV to exploit me through a con man that was a informant, that was a psychopath from a third world country that had his own agenda as well, to steal more than he was supposed to steal, because the whole thing was an illegal operation. But that's how this was operated. This is a sick operation against me and against a lot of other ones that they had lined up to destroy and put into prison. They put John Wolf into prison for he's supposed to have a 70-year sentence, but he got off on it for I think he ended up getting like 9 years, but he was guilty of sin as well, but he was also planted. That's why he originally had 70 years of false accusations that were absolutely unacceptable. Watch this. Well, trust me, let me put my 2 cents in this conversation. Trust me, I will. You can see this is one of the witnesses for Sean Combs as they smear the urban market of black smear campaign that they do with people. This is how they do it. This is the biggest one of all. You know, this is OJ was innocent. You know, Bill Cosby got out because they did it wrong to him too, and they just can't. Oprah's next. You know, Jay-Z's next. Beyonce's next. It's all a smear campaign. They either kill them or they smear them, and they steal all their worth because they are monsters. The fucking Southern District of New York is corrupted. It is a fucking slavery camp, and it is a human trafficking disgrace. I am living proof of it, and I will continue to fight the good fight. Because look at this. Look at this. I'm going to go right up to that camerawoman. I'm going to tell her, just like I've done to all the camera people, and get my 2 cents in on what my involvement is in the P. Diddy case. Because this was touched on that too. And it has been a disgusting 20-year ordeal that was nothing what I thought it was. You know, I was hired specifically to go into those accounts for them to be the pawn, switch over the sales reps so they can get out of the misery and the corruption and wheeling and dealing and stealing and millions made and pallets dropped off and free product and alcohol using a drug, because that's what that was. That's what that was. I have so much information, and I had all the evidence too on videos and pictures and all the reports that I did for all my weekly recaps. It was all in there. I had all my videos on my phone, my cell phone, chips that had all this, all the recaps for Southern Wine and Spirits that gave the 40/40 Club, all the evil that they did to, and they went through Desiree Perez, and they had teenagers in there. They had teenagers doing the wrong for people. She's beautiful. She would have worked that outfit, right? Did you see her? I'm good.
Hey, listen.
What's up, buddy?
Everything's fine. Just don't leave your bag on the
Oh, yeah, I see. Yeah, I gotta be careful. Thank you, buddy. I'm out of here. My arm's killing me. Thank you.
Don't leave your bag on the counter.
Thank you. I appreciate it.